Ahead of tonight's NBA draft, reports have suggested that the Portland Trail Blazers are ready to step up their interest for OG Anunoby. So in today's video, we're once again going to answer the question, will OG Anunoby be traded before the draft? Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur Sports for another Toronto Raptors YouTube video on the day of the NBA draft. On this channel, I'm bringing you the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news, and I'm going to be doing it all throughout the offseason, in particular as we cover who the Raptors take tonight in the draft. So to keep up to date with all that content, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You can help us on a road to 10,000 subscribers, and you find yourself enjoying this video along the way, be sure to drop a like to support the channel. Let's hit 200 likes on today's video. But the video, not the greatest topic to cover on the day of the draft. We wanted to focus on maybe who we were going to select in the draft, but potentially now the Raptors, with that 33rd overall pick, could be selecting 7th overall as well, because the Portland Trail Blazers are ready to make a hot pursuit for OG Anunoby ahead of the draft, and they're going to throw the 7th overall pick along with some other assets to the Raptors. We have had this report that's been out for a little bit of time, but I don't think there's any real concrete evidence that suggested the Trail Blazers were going to give that 7th overall pick for OG Anunoby. There was nothing that suggested the Portland Trail Blazers had really made any sort of offer to the Raptors. There was only this speculation that the Blazers had an interest in the Toronto Raptors' 24-year-old forward. But now, Chris Haynes, I believe, has suggested that the Trailblazers are prepared to make this offer. So we need to break down what the Trailblazers would have to do in order to pry away such a good player from the Raptors. We're also going to discuss how possible it is for the Raptors to trade OG Anunoby. So for starters, the Trailblazers really need to make a good offer to actually get OG away from the Raptors. I've been saying for weeks now that if any team wants to get OG Anunoby, they have to meet the valuation that the Raptors have set for the player. And believe me, the Raptors probably have a higher valuation for OG Anunoby than any other team in the entire NBA. So any team trying to make that trade is likely going to have to pay more than they would like in order to make it happen, therefore decreasing the possibility of it happening. But after the Trailblazers decided to make a big trade to get Jerami Grant from the Detroit Pistons, trading away a 2025 first-round pick, it looks like they mean business, and it looks like they are prepared to go for it this season. I really like that trade for the Blazers, getting Grant for just a 2025 first-round pick via Milwaukee. Like, that looks like great value to me. On an expiring contract, though, they got to go for it this year. Making that big splash for OG Anunoby might really be worth it. And making that big splash and overpaying in order to do so seems like a fruitful option for the Blazers. So I can see them 100% bringing out that big offer. But what would that big offer have to look like? There was a little bit of a mock trade that came out that said they would trade the 7th overall pick. There was no reports behind this, by the way. Just a mock that had the 7th overall pick along with Nas Little and Keon Johnson. I'm a pretty decent fan of that trade. Ultimately, I'd probably backtrack and say I wouldn't take it because I know we can get more out of the Blazers for that, and I'm sure the Raptors would not take that. But Josh Hart is now being thrown around. Nas Little still creeping into those discussions. Keon Johnson creeping into those discussions. I feel like if the Blazers offer, again, that 7th overall pick, and on top of that, you can get Little, Keon Johnson, Josh Hart, maybe all three of them. Maybe Portland throwing other assets instead. Maybe there's some second-round picks, maybe another first involved. Like, there are a lot of ways that Portland can spin this one to make this trade happen. And if the Raptors got such an offer, it would be really difficult for them to turn down because, you know, with that 7th overall pick, like, you can go find a Dyson Daniels. I think it's 100% possible that Shaedon Sharpe drops to the 7th overall pick because, you know, Jaden Ivey and Keegan Murray now expected to go 4-5. Mathurin is really growing on people to go 6th overall. Dyson Daniels might be available. Probably going to be available. Shaedon Sharpe might be available there. Mathurin might even drop to the 7th overall pick. Like, there could be a really good option for the Raptors in that spot. But what would it take for the Raptors to do it? In order to really process if the Raptors would want to do this trade, we kind of have to understand what the Raptors are looking to achieve this season in the short term, because they were good last year. They were the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. They had a competitive playoff series that went to 6 games. They don't slip up in games 1, 2, and 3, then maybe they're right in there for a 7-game series, possibly winning the series. But a lot of what ifs with that. At the end of the day, the Raptors lose in 6, and again, a competitive series. This team is good. They're good. They won 48 games, and they're probably going to be looking to win more than 48 games next season. So they want to prioritize, obviously, the future. They want to be a team that has aspirations to win a championship in the future. This season, they're probably not in a contender status. I would say they're definitely not a contender status. But it's okay to still be a good team. It's okay to build off of sustainable success for a good amount of time and then making that big trade when you hit your ceiling. When the Raptors won a championship, that didn't just happen. They had sustainable success with the roster for 7 years. When they established that they hit their ceiling, they made the big splash, they made the big trade, made that big leap for Kawhi Leonard, and it paid off. Another example is the Milwaukee Bucks, treading water, a really good team for a considerable amount of time. When they hit their ceiling, they unleashed to get Drew Holiday. I thought they overpaid, but you don't overpay when you win a championship. No matter what you did, if you win a championship, it was worth it. That Drew Holiday trade was worth it for them. Unless you're the Lakers, you can't just really turn around in one season and all of a sudden be a contender. You need to have that sustainable success. And the Raptors front office, Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, have spoken already about prioritizing this window right now with Siakam and Fred VanVleet. I don't believe that this core is prepared to contend, but they still want to build right now. And eventually the hope is that Scottie Barnes gets to a point where he can take over this already competitive roster. So they are very comfy to maintain status quo with OG Anunoby in this core, along with Gary Trent Jr., Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and the aforementioned Scottie Barnes. But if there is such a trade that comes in that just blows them away, I would not be shocked if they were to do it. I would say that it's probably not going to happen, the trade coming in today. It's probably not going to happen, but don't rule it out. The Raptors understand they have a little bit of a cap constraint right now. They want to extend Fred. They want to extend Gary Trent Jr. They're going to be asking, Fred's going to be asking for probably high 20s. Gary Trent Jr. is probably going to be asking for low 20s. Even though OG is on a great contract and there's a lot of flexibility on time with said contract, if the Raptors get a really good offer, I don't think they are going to turn it down. But that really good offer, again, it's got to be a really good offer from the Portland Trailblazers. So it is up to Portland if they indeed want to go out and make it. Making that trade for Jerami Grant, even though it was a good trade in my opinion, it shows that they're in a little bit of desperation mode. I don't want to say they're desperate, please, we have to do at any cost get OG Anunoby. I'm not suggesting that, but they are prepared to make big offers to make the team good right now to satisfy Damian Lillard. And making that trade for OG Anunoby, I think, would really change the complexion of that franchise and really change their status for next year in a Western Conference that's expected to be much better than it was this year. It's a really down year for the Western Conference, but Golden State are going to be looking to run it back. You would expect the Lakers to really push on and get better. You would expect the Denver Nuggets, with MPJ back, with Jamal Murray back, you would expect those guys to make a run. Utah Jazz, at least somewhat relevant, at least in the mix there. The Clippers going to get Kawhi back. That all of a sudden is a force in the West. So the Blazers want to be competitive within that market. And if they want to be competitive, they really have to go all out. So if they are prepared to make an offer the Raptors just simply cannot refuse, the Raptors are not going to refuse it. So overall, I know a lot of people watching this video, a lot of Raptors fans, by any means, you do not want to trade OG Anunoby. We're not at the stage anymore, like last offseason, where we were saying OG Anunoby is untouchable. He's only 24, about to be 25. I don't know how much better he's going to get from his current state. Like we talk about, when OG Anunoby takes a self-creation leap, we're kind of still hopeful that's going to happen. And I believe it is still possible to happen for the player, 100%. It's still possible for that to happen for OG Anunoby, but I think we're starting to fade a little bit on the extremely lofty expectations that we had for him, though he is still a vital part of this team, the way he plays defense, a 3-and-D plus specialist. There is a possibility of trading him to strengthen our depth and to bring in a mid-lottery prospect, like a 7th overall pick would be great. Dan Tolzman, Raptors assistant GM, head of scouting, has said that it would be very difficult to find a player as good as OG Anunoby with that 7th pick. But it is absolutely possible, and while getting other assets to go along with it, it could be a fruitful trade for the Raptors to make. So to close out, these are my final thoughts on this. I don't think OG Anunoby is going to get traded today. I also don't think he's going to get traded at all in the offseason, but I would not be very shocked if it did happen today. So keep your eyes out. Honestly, I hope nothing happens before this video comes out. I'm going to drop it an hour early, hopefully at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time instead of the normal 2:30, just in case. I don't think anything will happen, but be prepared. So let me know your thoughts and opinions. Do you think OG Anunoby will be on the move today? Will he be a Raptors player by the end of today? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it from me for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please, if you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like on the video. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. When you give a like, it lets YouTube know that other people like yourself will have an interest in this video, and it recommends it to more people. It takes you a second to like, but it helps me out a ton. Let's try to hit 200 likes on today's video, and be sure to subscribe for the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news at least 3 times a week. We'll have a video tomorrow going out about the prospect that we draft at 33rd overall. There's a lot of talent available, and we have a watch party going for the draft tonight on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/amateursports. The draft is at 8. We go live at 7:30. Click the link in the description and make sure to follow there so you do not miss out on the fun as I break down all of the prospects going in the draft, especially the ones around the Raptors pick. See you there, and see you again next time for another video.